There is nothing I love more than an amazing meal with high quality meat cooked at home because, let's be honest, eating out is so expensive. And you also know that eating out is the number one budget buster. That is why I am so glad I found ButcherBox. ButcherBox is a premium meat subscription service dedicated to delivering high quality, grass-fed and grass-finished beef, organic chicken, pork raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood directly to your doorstep with free shipping always. You even get exclusive member deals, recipes, and a variety of high-quality cuts at an amazing price. New users will receive their choice of 2 pounds of ground beef, 3 pounds of chicken thighs, or 1 pound of premium steak tips for a year. Use code ETM and get $20 off your first box at butcherbox.com. Last night we made a beef stew with meat from ButcherBox, and you can taste the difference. It was so satisfying and delicious, and all of our friends that were over for a dinner party, they raved at how good it was. So do yourself a favor and eat better this year with the best meat and seafood on the planet delivered to your door. ButcherBox is offering my listeners their choice of a weeknight meal essential: 3 pounds of chicken thighs, 2 pounds of ground beef, or 1 pound of premium steak tips for free in every order for a year. Plus, get $20 off your first order. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/ETM and use code ETM to choose your free offer and get $20 off. When it comes to financial advice, you gotta trust the source. It's why you listen to this podcast. When I'm looking to upgrade my wallet, I turn to NerdWallet. Their expert team of nerds dives into the details to help you find smarter financial products. Before NerdWallet, I was paying for vacations all wrong. I was missing out on miles I didn't even know I was leaving on the table. Now I've got a new card with more miles and more upgrades. What could future you do with more travel rewards? I don't know, maybe that fancy hotel upgrade that you have always been dreaming about. Wherever you go next, make it happen with a smarter travel credit card. Don't wait to make smart financial decisions. Compare and find smarter credit cards, savings accounts, and more today at nerdwallet.com. NerdWallet. Finance smarter. As with all cards, credit is subject to lender approval and terms apply. Hey, I'm Shauna Compton Game. This is Millennial Money, and today we're talking go on vacation no matter what.
Millennial Money with Shauna Compton Game. It will expand your brain.
The idea of travel is definitely a hip concept. It is, a millennial focal point for sure. But honestly, for me, traveling has always been, I think, my secret sauce. It's really a form of escape. Even just the planning process of travel for me is something that is so unbelievably exhilarating that I think it really is almost like a form of therapy for me in a really weird way. When I'm working on a tough project or an idea, I turn to researching locations, hotel, Airbnb, all of these different sites to, unlock something in my brain. It's like the idea of going on vacation makes me almost more excited than the actual act of going on a vacation. Don't get me wrong. I love, going to new places. But for me, I think it's just the excitement around not only, exploring someplace different, but thinking about all of the adventures that I would have in that place and all the things that I would really learn about myself. And I think that's why it's so important to go on a vacation no matter what. And, I'm always asked, well, how do I go on a vacation if, I'm struggling to pay my bills or I'm living paycheck to paycheck? And really what I have found after years and years and years and years of traveling is that you can have almost no money and still be able to have an amazing vacation. It might look different than somebody who is flush with cash, but you can still have the same experiences. You can still have that escape that you need so badly so that you can recharge, so that you can get creative again, so that you can really, I think, discover things in yourself that are going to help you, stay motivated with life. Because let's be real, this thing called life, it is not exactly easy. I don't know if you've noticed that yet, or if you've had experiences that have been challenging to you, but I have found the longer and longer that I go on with life that it doesn't get easier. It gets harder, it gets more expensive. You struggle with a lot of things and it's tough. So, having that opportunity when you can go on a vacation and you can relax, you can unplug, whatever it is for you, I think is so critically important to our just evolution as people. And, I love traveling so much that I even call our budget the travel itinerary. So for me, the word budget, it's still, even as like a money professional, it still does something wonky in my head. And, I'm like, oh God, I got to do our budget. But something really clicked for me like years ago when I changed the name of our budget to travel itinerary. So we use an Excel document to budget and, keep track of all of our spending. And so literally when I'm, every week going to it, there's something so exciting to me about the process of, through tracking our expenses, through finding all these cool and unique ways to save, we're able then to like reroute that money towards different trips that we want to take. And, somebody looked at me like really crazy a couple of years ago when I suggested that, and then they tried it and it was like this revolutionary thing for you. I'm telling you, this mind over matter piece with your money is so powerful. Like you don't even know how powerful it is. And you could literally be, one mind shift away from being able to achieve so many different things. And so I'm just so super excited that you're taking time to listen to this podcast. If you're a regular listener, I can't thank you enough. I hope that you're getting, some immense value out of this podcast and not just, turning in to hear me babble every day on about money, even though that's, important, but I hope that you're really getting something and it's like helping you have some meaningful changes in life. So back to travel, because it is absolutely my favorite subject. I could spend literally hours researching travel. It's, dare I say, like an addiction. It's hard for me to spend minutes sometimes working on something that I know I have to get done. But when I'm travel researching, it's like complete escapism. I don't know if you have something like that in your life where when you're doing that particular thing, I guess I could call travel researching a hobby, although it seems like a very strange hobby because I'm not burning calories and I'm not necessarily learning anything new, but it is a hobby, I guess you could say. So I don't know if you have something in your life like that where when you do it, you feel like this complete release and just in this whole other zone. I think it's really cool when, you can find those little secret places in your life where, something that you can turn to, I don't know, de-stress, to get away from it all. And it didn't hit me that this was a special talent that I had until years ago when I traveled to Paris. I was in search of finding the really unique things that you could do in the city. And I found this really cool underground supper club. Well, it wasn't underground. It was actually in somebody's Parisian apartment, but it was myself and 12 other strangers from around the world sitting around a table, enjoying a home-cooked 10-course meal with drinks, by the way. I don't think I've ever been as drunk as I was that night. It was a bad thing, but it was spaced out over, 5 hours, but I'm a complete lightweight. So, but it was one of those experiences that you just can't explain. It's not like going to a restaurant. It's being in somebody's home, having them cook you a meal, and then sharing stories with all of these complete strangers. Well, when I got home from that trip and shared that experience, all my friends were like, how in the world did you find out about that? And I'm like, well, I just researched unique experiences in Paris and kept digging until I found what I wanted. I just found it. And I think what that unlocked in me was this this thought that this really is like a secret talent of mine, but that I can also help teach people how to do this themselves, and more importantly, how to find these unique experiences and not spend a ton of cash. Because my motto always is, if you listen to this podcast enough, you know this, that you should not have to spend all your cash, even if you have it, in order to do all the things that you want in life. Because the secret that I have learned through working with people who have massive amounts of money is that they're very resourceful and that they leverage their money in such a way that they're not always spending their money, or if they do have to spend their money, they're spending it in a really smart way. So it's not about, like having $5,000 to go on vacation and spending all that $5,000. It's about finding a way to have that same or very close to same experience, and maybe spending $3,000 and using that extra $2,000 to go towards something that's actually growing your wealth. But that's, again, just a bit of a mind shift. And I think this idea of travel was so important to us that's why we dedicated a whole day of the podcast just to travel, because I think you learn so much about yourself and a new place. And, even the stuff that you don't like about traveling changes you. I mean, I think about the stuff that really frustrates me about traveling. We just got back from a trip to New York, and flying coast to coast is an all-day excursion. And I find that the actual act of traveling, so getting packed, parking your car, going through security, waiting at the airport, having to spend way too much to buy water at the airport, all of those sort of things, it makes me more patient and tolerant and accepting of people, because you're in these situations where nobody really wants to be in that situation, but you have to be in that situation in order to get where you want to go. And so it's just, to me, a really cool, I think, way to push your boundaries and to test you before you even actually have gone out on that trip. Listen, if you've been using Mint to manage your money, I have got some news for you. First, the bad news. As you might know, Mint is shutting down for good. But the good news, well, there is a way better alternative that is a personal favorite of mine, Monarch Money. And I'm not the only lover of Monarch Money. Many Mint users are turning to Monarch Money and just raving about it. I used to manage my money with an Excel spreadsheet. I know, so archaic, and it was so time-consuming. I tried all of the apps, but I just didn't find one I liked until I found Monarch. And I've got to tell you a secret. Monarch is so easy to use with a very intuitive design. You can even collaborate with your partner, and you can customize Monarch for whatever your needs are. Monarch is the top-rated all-in-one personal finance app. It gives you a comprehensive view of all your accounts, investments, transactions, and more. Create custom budgets, set goals, and collaborate with your partner. And now get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. Let's go back to the collaboration bit. Because we know money is a leading cause of divorce and breakups, Monarch has built-in collaboration features so you can invite your partner at no extra cost. You can see all your finances, make a budget together, get insights on your cash. Yes, cue the confetti. There will literally not be any more arguments over money. And if you've been frustrated with personal finance apps that are cluttered with ads, difficult to use, or rarely updated, so was Monarch. They built a new kind of personal finance app that's intuitive and powerful, ad-free, and constantly improving based on customer feedback. Monarch has a tool that allows you as well to easily import your data from Mint. You can keep all of your tags and all of your categories. After trying Monarch for myself, I understand why it's the top-rated personal finance app. And right now, get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. That's monarchmoney.com/ETM for your extended 30-day free trial.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
And, you know, we always try to take one big trip a year and then a bunch of smaller ones. And for us, it's hard because we work on a lot of these trips, and I'm using work in air quotes because I know it's enjoyable work, but we're still working. We're doing interviews. We're talking to people. We're covering a city, all these different things. But I think traveling is so important, especially as a couple. For me, it was just really important to find someone that loves to travel as much as I do. And I did. I mean, Jeff will go anywhere with me anytime. And thank God we travel well together. That's really important. I think there are a couple of things that you should always have to do as a couple to kind of like test the relationship. And one of them is you should absolutely have to go on a trip together, preferably something where it really tests your boundaries, like traveling internationally where you're not going to sleep for 24 hours, just to see how you manage as a couple before you actually commit to a long-term relationship. Because if you can't figure out how to work together in tough situations, and, you know, traveling is going to push your boundaries. It's going to make you tired. It's going to make you cranky. You know, your stomach might be gassy from all the freaking carbs that you have to eat just to, you know, get some substance. I don't know why airports and planes don't believe in protein very much, but that's a whole other podcast episode. Could somebody please create a line of food for the airplane that is actually decent and that you want to eat? Can somebody that's listening to this podcast, please do that for me? It would make me so incredibly happy. But anyway, learning to travel as a couple is, it's like a therapy session that you don't even know you're having, but you have to figure out how to do it together. So I have found that there are just so many different ways to travel on any budget. And if you're somebody listening that you want to travel, but you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're probably thinking like, yeah, right, Shauna, I can't figure out how to make it work. But I promise you, I have traveled on the most microscopic budgets. And then I've also traveled on much, much bigger budgets. You know, whether it's staying in luxury hotels or, you know, tiny houses or yurts or camping, whatever it may be, I feel personally that money just isn't an excuse not to travel and not to allow yourself that escape. But I've also found that luxury can be done on a really tiny budget with creativity. And I think that's probably the most important money lesson about anything you do, again, is to figure out how you can have the same experience that you want to have, but maybe spend a quarter less of your budget, or, you know, 20% less than the amount you've saved. Some amount of money that is not blowing the entire amount of money, and then do something really powerful with that excess. Invest it, or pay off debt, or, you know, put it towards your next travel escape that you want to have. Just something that helps propel you forward, because I think that gives you a framework for thinking about everything that you do and every amount of money that you spend every single day. It really does change and shift you in ways that it's super hard for me to explain. But, you know, finding small ways to save, it makes a difference. But you've got to have, I have found, a dedicated travel savings account to route those savings to, or it won't add up. So if you say, well, I'm going to cut back, you know, instead of going to get coffee 5 days a week, I'm going to cut back to 3 days a week. And those extra 2 days, I'm going to start saving that money towards my travel fund. Well, in my experience, if you leave that extra 2 days of money in your bank account, it is going to vanish through the black hole of black holes where all money seems to vanish and go, and we absolutely cannot find it again. You have to take that money out of your bank account and put it into your savings account. It's the only way that's going to guarantee you that that cash is actually there actually there when you want to travel. And there are so many little ways to save every day, even if you're the type of person where the thought of trying to figure out all these ways to save makes you nauseous, because there are people out there like that. And that's totally cool. I mean, it takes some time and some figuring to figure out ways you can save, but there are lots of like little things that turn into big amounts of money. Like, for instance, we just had this like epiphany the other day after months of me researching that we are paying entirely too much for DirecTV, like a ridiculous amount of money every single month. And so I think we're going to actually go with the Hulu TV, which still costs money, but it will end up saving us well over $100 a month. Well, $100 a month is like $1,200 a year. That is a lot of cash that we're already used to spending that we can just reroute towards our travel fund. And so I think, again, it's being creative, but travel is expensive for sure. I'm never going to tell you that it's not expensive, because it is. And I find that airfare is one of the biggest costs these days. But there are some good tricks. So I'll have a lot of this stuff in the show notes if you're interested. The credit card game for sure is real. If you got a good credit score, and let's reverse. If you don't know your credit score, please do me a favor, find your credit score out. You can find it for free so many places. You can go to Credit Sesame, you can go to Credit Karma, you can go to annualcreditreport.com. Just find out what your credit score is, because once you know the score, then you can make powerful changes to your credit profile in order to better your score, because the better your score, the better offers for credit cards you're going to get. And while yes, a lot of the travel credit cards, they have annual fees. I totally understand that. But if you can really work the credit card game, you can get far more benefits than that silly little annual fee. And you can also get that fee waived. Now, I'm not going to say this very loud because I don't want very many people to know this, but you can actually call the credit card companies and you can negotiate away that annual fee. I swear to you, I do it myself and it works. And it doesn't take anything more than just asking, hey, I really like your credit card, but I hate this silly annual fee. Is there any way I can get this waived? Otherwise, I think I'm going to have to cancel this card and go to a different credit card. It's something very simple like that. There's such great websites out there, like the Points Guy. I'm going to link him in the show notes. He has article after article after article about how to play the credit card game in order to score free travel. They call it travel hacking, but there's lots of different ways you can do this depending on your comfortability and also your credit score. And there are so many sites to find the best price for airfare. Don't just settle for the first price that you get. There are sites like Hipmonk and Google Flights and Momondo, discount airlines like Wow Air, where you can really score some amazing deals. My tip, though, is always to at least check 2 to 3 sites before you book your airfare, plus the actual airline's website, just to make sure that you're getting the best deal. Because a lot of these, Expedias and different travel sites, they'll give you a really low fare price, but then when you go to book your plane ticket, you'll find like, okay, it doesn't cover my seat, so now I got to pay to upgrade my seat. Doesn't cover my bag. Now I got to pay to get a bag included. All of those like stupid, silly little fees. So you just want to make sure that you checked everywhere just to make sure you're getting the best deal. And then you can actually call the hotel directly and ask for their best rate and any other freebies that they can throw in. I always find that the lowest price I can get anywhere is when I actually call the hotel directly. And then if I find a deal, they're always willing to price match and better the price, because they want you to book directly through them. And so I think, we live in a world now where we want to like email and do everything mobily and indirectly, but sometimes calling, especially a hotel, you're going to be amazed at the deal that you're going to get. And, I think another great suggestion is why not ask for travel points or travel cash as gifts for birthday and for Christmas and all of those holidays instead of the crap that you don't really need or want? I mean, if you have a desire to travel, if you even have just a fraction of the love of traveling like I do, finding creative ways like that for you to beef up your travel savings account, it's just going to get you there faster, and it's going to allow you to, escape quicker. But I think, allowing yourself to travel dream and to travel escape and not feeling limited by your budget or your situation is really important. Again, there's so much to learn out there, and the world really needs you to spread your ideas. They need to see more of you. We need more love. We need more exploration. We need people that are getting outside of their boundaries and their comfort zones in order to understand how people in the world works so that we can all be more united. I mean, there's never been a time in my lifetime, probably not in your lifetime either, where we have been so divisive, and especially in the United States, where there's just so much hatred that's coming back into our society, and it's bubbling to the surface, and it's really hard to watch and see. And I think, making travel a priority allows you to look at people in a different lens, through a different view than maybe you would if you just stayed in your own home, in your own comfort place. So I want to encourage you, to do what you can, to find extra savings, to find creative ways. Go in with a friend. Start a club with your friends called a travel club, or maybe you pull together money and you pull together resources and you just find a way to do it, to go out there and explore. And don't be frustrated by your budget. Don't be frustrated by your debt. Sometimes life is about making choices. Maybe your student loans get paid off 3 or 4 months later, but you had an amazing experience of going out and traveling somewhere around the world, and that's what you needed at that point in your life. As always, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Shauna Game. And if you love this podcast, hey, do me a favor, share it with your friends, shout it out on social media, and head on over to the link in the show notes and leave us a 5-star review.